I used to feel like I was walking under a dark cloud that just wouldn't go away. Every morning, I'd wake up feeling this heavy weight on my chest, like a blanket of sadness I couldn't shake off. Getting out of bed felt like a monumental task, and the world outside my window seemed gray and colorless. My friends would call, and I'd just let it ring. They'd text, and the messages would sit there, unread. It wasn't that I didn't care. It was that I just couldn't find the energy to care. I was drowning in plain sight, and nobody could see it. The things I used to love, painting, going for long walks, even just listening to music, they all felt empty. It was like the part of me that could feel joy had just switched off. I tried everything I could think of. I read self-help books. I changed my diet. I even forced myself to go out, but nothing worked. The sadness was a constant companion, whispering that things would never get better, that I was stuck like this forever. It was a lonely, isolating place to be. I felt invisible, like a ghost in my own life. I'd smile at the grocery store clerk or the mailman, but it was just a mask. Inside, I was crumbling. One particularly difficult evening, I was just sitting on my floor, tears streaming down my face, feeling completely lost. I had hit rock bottom. I remembered my grandmother, a woman of incredible faith, who used to say, "When you don't know what to do, just talk to God. He's always listening." I wasn't particularly religious at the time, but I was desperate. I had nothing to lose. So, right there on my floor, I closed my eyes and just started talking. It was messy and tearful. I didn't use any fancy words. I just poured out all my pain, my confusion, my hopelessness. I told him how tired I was, how I couldn't carry this weight anymore. I asked for a sign, for a glimmer of hope, anything to show me I wasn't alone. That night, for the first time in months, I slept through the entire night. It wasn't a miracle cure, but it was something. The next morning, the weight was still there, but it felt a tiny bit lighter. So I did it again. I found a quiet corner in my apartment, and I prayed. This time, I didn't just ask for help. I also tried to find something to be grateful for. It was hard at first. My brain was so wired for negativity, but I started small. I was grateful for the warm cup of tea in my hands, for the single ray of sunshine peeking through the clouds. It felt a little silly, but I kept at it. This became my new routine. Every single day, I made time for prayer. It wasn't always a long, dramatic session on the floor. Sometimes it was just a few quiet minutes in my car before work, or a whispered thank you before a meal. I started talking to God like a friend. I'd tell him about my day, the small victories and the lingering struggles. I started to notice a shift. It was gradual, like the slow turning of seasons. The world started to regain its color. I began to hear the music again, not just as noise, but as melody. One day, I picked up a paintbrush. I hadn't touched my art supplies in over a year. I didn't have a plan. I just let my hand move. What came out was a canvas filled with dark, swirling colors, but in the very center, there was a tiny, brilliant spark of gold. Looking at it, I realized that was me. That was what prayer was doing. It wasn't erasing the darkness, but it was creating a light within it, a light that was getting brighter every single day. Prayer became my anchor. It gave me a space to be completely honest without fear of judgment. It was a daily reminder that I wasn't fighting this battle alone. My prayers evolved. I started praying for others, for my friends who had been so patient with me, for strangers I passed on the street. This act of looking outward, of focusing on someone else's well-being, was incredibly healing. It pulled me out of my own head and reconnected me to the world. It taught me compassion, not just for others, but for myself. I learned to forgive myself for the days I stumbled, for the moments the sadness crept back in. I understood that healing isn't a straight line. Now, when I look back at that person on the floor, I feel so much love for her. She was so brave, even when she felt so weak. She took a leap of faith, and it changed everything. My life isn't perfect now. I still have hard days. The clouds still gather sometimes, but the difference is, now I have an umbrella. I have this unshakable connection, this daily conversation that grounds me and gives me strength. Prayer didn't magically take away my problems, but it gave me the power and the perspective to face them. It illuminated a path when I couldn't see one, and it taught me that even in the deepest darkness, there is always hope for a new dawn. If you're feeling lost in the dark right now, please know you are not alone. And it's so important to reach out for professional help. Talking to a therapist or a counselor is a sign of incredible strength. For me, combining professional support with my personal spiritual practice was the key. My journey with prayer was my personal story, but the core message is universal. Find what anchors you. Find what gives you hope. It might be prayer, meditation, nature, art, or talking with a trusted professional. Please don't give up on finding your light. It's there waiting for you. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, please consider subscribing for more content. Take care.